My name's Braden, and I run a growth partner business where we partner with educational content creators, coaches, consultants, digital product sellers, and help them with their marketing, their sales, their back-end systems, their content, pretty much full stack, take a rev share, and help them scale up. Right now, I'm working with 3 companies in the portfolio, all doing over 7 figures per year. And in this video, I paid an 8-figure sales manager who's managing 2 sales teams, both doing over $1 million per month. And I asked for some advice for myself on how to scale up the portfolio, as well as for my full in-house sales manager who I'm bringing in to manage the portfolio for me. And he pretty much coached us both up on how to manage this new dynamic of me managing the sales manager, as well as my new sales manager on how to manage these teams. He was a long-time closer for me. He killed it, and now I bumped him up into a managing role, and I hope you enjoy it.
What systems or routines can you install to make high standards automatic and not just dependent on showing up with energy? For me, it's going to be data. I'll tell you why I wrote this down. Okay. Let me paint you guys a picture, right? You've just come home. Your mom has just asked you, Braden, why is it 3 a.m. and you just got home in that Uber, which you booked 20 minutes prior after spending the night with Ashley, Stevie, and Michael? Because you know so much information about what the hell has just happened to you over the last hour or two, you've now essentially put them on a pedestal. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. The transition here to in sales management, when I show a closer that I know everything about their current process and closing rate and their show rate to calls and their CRM, automatically it completely lowers the room for any form of lying or excuses, because they already know that I know everything. If I just simply ask them, hey, why are you not performing? Simply put, they don't know what's going on. And this is natural because we are humans. They might turn around and try give an excuse which is completely invalid. If I then turn around and say, Brandon, why have you had 20 calls this week and and 15 of them have been no-shows? And I can also see here that to 13 of them, you haven't sent out the pre-call. Bro, at that point, they're going to be so taken back that it would just be stupid of them to give an excuse. The same way that when we were younger and our parents used to ask us with so much information and detail that there's just no point lying or giving an excuse. So that's why I refer back to the point data. Understanding data puts you at a point way above them where it simply excuses every point of removes every point of excuses and lies. Once you can show them that you are like a hawk, and this goes back to nitpicking as well, it completely removes any form of, hey, this is what it essentially telling them is, look, I know this, I just want the truth. And if anything, because they know that you know, them lying will just make them look like a way bigger idiot, which just risks their point in the risks their position in the community or team as well. Okay, right. So the answer here is data, bro. You need to be a data whore, man. I don't know what sort of back-end systems you guys have, but you need to be all over that. I used to tell people, like, hey, like, you're not gonna receive commission unless all admin is done. And that needs to be said in the hiring process as well.
Yeah, non-negotiable.
Non-negotiables. Because now what? You say that again, sorry?
I just said I like that. Just
yeah.
Straight up, and it makes sense. Like, hey, we
setting boundaries, like you said, Chris.
Yeah, 100%. And bro, like the thing is I've never turned down a closing role because they've told me that admin needs to be done for me to get paid. Like that's just what's expected, you know? So you need to let that be known at the start. And even what I've done in the past is add it into your agreement. Bro, add it into your agreement. Like as in to say, you know, if admin has not been completed correctly, you may suffer with commission not being paid out. Okay. Who the hell is going to look at that agreement as a closer and think, oh my gosh, that is so unreasonable that I'm not going to do it. And now at this point, now that they've actually essentially legally signed up to it, it just completely removes that side. That's not me saying, by the way, that you're still not going to have issues with it, because you definitely will. You just will, right? But at least this lowers that. So yeah, the way that you set that high standard automatically is data, bro. Data is going to be key here. Super, super key. Identity shift from buddy to leader. How do you command respect without being cold or robotic? Reinventing yourself. The simple answer here is balance. Let me explain to you guys what I mean by this. Everything in this life is a balance, as you guys know. You drink more alcohol, you're probably going to need to work out more. You do more traveling, you're probably going to need to spend more time with your family. Everything's a balance at this point. The point that I'm trying to make to you here is essentially what you're doing now by coming into a bit more of an authoritative state is you are completely ignoring the fact that these people are now were your friends, which can sometimes have a negative effect in terms of relationships. So now what we have is the wheel has now been a little bit more unbalanced. How do we balance it out? Outside of the role is you now become, this is what worked for me, is you now do things that are going to improve the relationship. For example, a lot of these closers that I take on or have taken on in the past were people that I know. Why? Because I used to recruit closers myself for a living. That's just what I do and still do to this day. A lot of these people I went to school with. A lot of these people I grew up with. The point I'm trying to make to you here is there's also a lot of these people that I'm going to put in a negative word to. Bro, why are you not filling out your CRM? Bro, why is this happening? I'm dropping your lead flow. The only thing that's going to kind of battle this is outside of that, when you guys have the opportunity, is to just simply make it right. Maybe sometimes getting dinner for them. Maybe simply sometimes finding yourself in a position where you're doing more than you would have in the past, simply for the sake of maintaining that relationship. I'm not saying you have to kiss their ass. I'm just saying I've been in many positions where sometimes the relationship could have been damaged because you had to have shouted or been rude or just been maybe some form of passive aggressive towards one of your closers, aka an old friend, but you make up for it by balancing it out in the good times, which is inviting them out on a dinner. Potentially sending their mother, or, you know, if they're a really close friend, sending them an anniversary present for them and their girlfriend, something along those lines. Because at least that way, they can essentially see that, right, he's righteous in the moments that he's potentially negative to us, and he's also righteous to us in the moments when he's positive to us, right? It is a difficult one to find that balance. My piece of advice is every time that you feel like you might be damaging a relationship, which, by the way, just as a heads up, should never be the case anyway. Everybody should be emotionally intelligent enough to understand that this is just business. That's just the bottom line. I'm telling you, in regards to people who might be younger, this might be only their second or third closing role, and stuff like this could damage their self-confidence, for example. Okay. My piece of advice is once you've got that balance, it gives you that respect of, okay, he's righteous in his negativity and he's righteous in his positivity as well. One thing which really helps this out is bonuses. Specifically for like my friends, I would give them bonuses, right? For example, if you've collected 150K CC this month, I'm going to give you an extra $500, for example. Okay, because at least that way, nobody can sit there and say, well, he's only just negative. He's negative when he needs to be, and he's positive when he needs to be. And the key thing to remind them of is framing, that you're just doing what's best for everybody. If doing what's best is me kissing your ass, for example, I'm just saying, if I'm speaking to a closer, then let's just call him Michael. Then Michael, I will go ahead and kiss your ass. If I don't think that's the best thing for your pockets and my pockets, then I will not go ahead and do so. That's the bottom line. Okay. So my simple, like actual tangible piece of advice to this is, if there's ever moments where you feel like you've damaged a relationship, also balance it out in simply sending them a card or doing something extra nice, which now balances it out. That's my piece of advice. Okay. Because yeah, bro, look, the harsh reality, it can, sometimes be awkward. It takes two incredibly emotionally intelligent people, which, for them to actually sit there and work out like, all right, this is just business. The harsh reality is you're going to be dealing with a lot of hungry young bulls like yourselves who are 21, who are 20, who this may be the first time where they're experiencing something like this. Believe me, is as long as it's for the best of the company, all you need to, like, the bottom line is, Michael, this is the best for your pockets and my pockets. If I didn't think so, then this wouldn't, like, I would, like, that's the bottom line.
I like that.
Yeah. How do you reset boundaries with a team you used to be more casual with? How is respect built? Respect is built by simply doing what you say. That should be the other way around there. Okay. This is the thing here, is people always listen to others when they respect them, which is why when I get a new girlfriend or when I eventually find my new wife, for example, I always tell them from the off, I value respect far more than I value love. And I think any type of, I hate using this word because I feel like the red pill community has ruined it, but any type of high value man, okay, will be somebody who does what they say they were going to do. So all that you simply need to do at this point is everything that you say at the start, which is the frame, which is letting people know that I'm about to be your sales manager. I understand that we're friends here at the moment, and I'm going to do what's best for your pockets and my pockets, following suit with that. Because that, for me, is the most tangible measurement of respect, is simply saying what you do. For example, there are many villains out there who have said that they're going to take over the world, and simply because they've gone ahead and do it, people actually sit there and say, damn, based, or whatever that term is that you guys use on Twitter, right? I don't know. I'm not too much on Twitter, but I know people use that word, right? Like, that's the bottom line. It doesn't matter whether someone did something negative or positive. It's the fact that they've simply done what they said they were going to do. Like, that's the utmost respect. That's why girls break up with us in the first place. Because us as men, and you guys have probably seen this from Scarface, is we only have, what's the word? What's the quote? Our word and our balls here.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, and I've been in this position, I've got a lot of years of experience in the dating life now. And so that I keep referring back to this, but this is the best analogy that I can think of at this moment in time. Is this why many girls can break up with a man just because they don't stick to their word? Why? Because the greatest connotation of what a man is does he stick to what he said he did? That's the bottom line. Girls can get away with it because their emotions are fleeting. They're not being judged a lot of the time as to whether they're doing what they're saying, because they change their mind 30 million times every single day. Us as men, we're very much so different. So to answer your question as to how to reset boundaries with a team that used to be more casual with, is now you show them a new side to Brandon or a new side to Braden, where absolutely everything that you say you're going to do, you go ahead and do it. That then has a butterfly effect on building up more respect, and now people will listen to you in the way that you need them to listen to. That for me is a massive one. Like a massive one. And that probably isn't even just a sales management tip. That's more so a fact of, this is a life tip. When you're speaking to your mother, when you're speaking to a partner, like, that's the bottom line as to setting a specific boundary, because now your respect is so much greater than any form of negative opinion that they had of you in the past. I'll repeat that. Their respect for you is now far more greater than any negative opinion that they've had of you in the past. What do I mean by that? Example. I've hired a bunch of people that I used to go on a night out with, or I've done stupid stuff with. And in that stage of my life, they may have seen me as XYZ. But now, simply because I'm saying what I'm doing, that doesn't overthrow the person that I am now. Like, the person that I am now, the thoughts or the images or the opinions that you had of me is not stronger than the person that I am now, essentially. But how to set boundaries? Yeah, bro, I think a big part of that is saying what you do, because naturally a byproduct of having respect is setting that boundary now. It's like, oh crap, this is actually Brandon now, who I have a lot more respect for. Not to say that they didn't have respect for you in the first place, but it's now a different type of respect. There is now a boundary which comes as a byproduct of that. Okay. So yeah, saying what you do is a massive one. Let's talk about what traits separate a respected leader from a liked one. That's a great question. This is an example that I always like to use. Obviously, one of the greatest ever leaders, I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with history, is Alexander the Great. He conquered the whole world at 25 years old. He became the king of Macedonia at 20 years old. One reason, so he ended up dying at 32 years old, and simply because of the respect that everybody had for him, they carried on the whole, all of his, what's the word I'm looking for here? All of his ideologies and everything that he stood for, even when he died at the tender age of 32. The reason is respect. And the reason why he was so respected, he's one of the only leaders out there who, when he took people to battle, he was on the front line, which is a crazy fact, right? And I've actually lined up one of my favorite videos, not to bring it back to school times, but like this video, what will take me half an hour to explain will take 5 minutes. Bro, that guy was a guy. He was in that 22 years old, like flipping ridiculous. Point I'm trying to make to you here is the reason why he's alongside Genghis Khan known as probably the greatest leader out there is because he put himself in the front line alongside Genghis Khan as well. And it's not a coincidence by any means. Okay. How can this be translated into sales management here at this point? Okay. This is specifically more done in the chat between yourselves and the closers, is just showing them that you're outworking them as well, that you're on the front line with them as well. And this comes to my original point of nitpicking as well. Okay, you really need to be on point with absolutely everything, hawk-eyeing, right? Because the point is, whether you like it or not, Brandon or Braden or whatever position you're in, bro, you're in a position of leadership here. You are people that they're looking up to. Like, especially if you speak to a lot of older closers, maybe like myself, for example, who were brought up in a generation where, regardless of what's going on, if, you know, the chances are you're probably going to be older than some of your closers as well, they're just already naturally going to respect you because that's just how it is. My opinion is you need to be outworking them a hell of a lot, like in every aspect. And eventually what happens, and this is why I feel like I've gained a lot of respect and trust from a lot of the closers that I've managed in the past. It's just because there's been so many times in the day where they've gone to message me, whether that's 2 a.m. or 2 p.m., and I'll still try to reply to them ASAP. You know, it's little stuff like that, which just builds up, you know, just shows them that you're on the front line with them. So that, for me, if I had to pick like one trait that would get people to follow you and gain respect for you, is you have to show them that you're working as hard, in fact, outworking them every sense of the way. You know, that is going to be the killer here, bro. Because regardless, it doesn't matter how amazing you are as a what's the word that I'm looking for here, as a manager, or if they see that you're still out there enjoying and, you know, doing XYZ, bro, that they're going to lose a lot of respect. You know, which is why sometimes even on Instagram, like, for example, bro, over the last couple of days, this is just on a personal level. Sorry, my leg just started really bleeding for some reason. On a personal level, like, the closers have had like a tough few days, whereas between me and you guys, I'll be transparent, I've had a great couple of days just personally. Like, I'm leaving this part of town in Brazil, like I've been celebrating a little bit, but just out of respect of the closers, that have me on Instagram, I haven't even posted any stories. Like, it's little stuff like that because I don't want them thinking that whilst they're suffering, I'm enjoying. You know, it's little stuff like that just to show that you are on the front line. Am I still going to post the stories? Hell yeah. The only difference is I'm going to pretend that it's now after the period when they're not struggling and, you know, not in the period that it was struggling. You know, is it a bit annoying? Yeah, probably it is. You know, like, I like to update my followers about life. I have a good following as well. But if I can see that it's negatively going to affect my closers and as a result negatively affect their cash flow and as a result negatively affect how much I'm going to make the next month as well, then I'm not going to do it, you know? So, yeah, there's a lot of decision making that you're going to have to do and really sit there and think, how much are you looking to sacrifice into showing these people that in the suffering you're there and in the good times you're there as well, you know? And yeah, my piece of advice, bro, is always show how you're always going the extra mile in any single position, you know, whether that's simply an admin or whether that's just closing a massive deal outside of the current sales management role. I don't know what else you're going to be doing or if you even will be doing anything, but yeah, bro, like, you have to be showing that you're putting in the work because that's where your respect is built. Okay. Which is kind of crazy because it's not so much of a sales skill, but this is, I guess, more of like a life thing as well. But the bottom line here is that's, leadership. It's little things that happen across the day. I'll normally send in bro, our group chat's kind of funny, or even some that I've had in the past, teams that I managed in the past, kind of funny in the sense that, like, normally you want to get to a stage where you're on a good term with them. So like sometimes I've in the past I've sent in selfies of like me traveling, about to get on a flight, and I'm still reviewing their calls, little stuff like that, and I'm like, you pussies aren't putting in as much work as I am. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm flipping, I've got less work to do and I'm still running laps around all of you guys. Like, little stuff like that. It depends on what's going to work with your crowd and your personality as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could just say that after a while because I was good friends with a lot of the people at that point. And to be not any one closer that, or even like owner that I was working with that I'm not on good terms with. You know what I mean? So like, it is. And I think the thing is about both of you as well, is I can see after spending like the last hour and 10 minutes with you guys are clearly emotionally intelligent. I'm not going to have to teach you how to be emotionally intelligent because you guys already possess that, and I can see that in a simple skill. This is just on a side note. My best measurement of how emotionally intelligent somebody is how sarcastic they are. Like, this isn't, which is why when I used to take sales calls, in the first couple of minutes, I would try and drop a sarcastic joke, kind of like how I did at the start here, just to see what sort of emotional intelligence I'm dealing with, because that's then definitely going to change up how I pitch, or maybe how funny I try to be, for example, and that's why maybe I'm going to go back to the dating example. Probably some of your best relationships or best girls that you guys have been the ones where you guys just bounce off each other just off of pure sarcasm, because that shows that you're both emotionally intelligent, So,
that's actually so true.
Yeah, bro. So that's my measurement of emotional intelligence, and I can clearly see you both have that, not even licking your asses at any point here. But you guys will know when to drop certain things and when not to, but as long as the focus stays on outworking. So yeah, in regards to like actually intricate little details, little stuff that happen in the like in my day-to-day, for example, sometimes I'll be in the gym or have been in the gym over reviewing a call, for example, in the past, which at that point, I'll just let them know that that's what's happening right now, whilst traveling and reviewing any calls or sorting out admin, letting them know, giving them examples of when I was a closer in the past, how extensive I'd be with my pre-call, little stuff like that, how far I'd go just to close a deal, reminding them that a lot of them still have family members that are still working a normal job, little stuff like that. You start working out what motivates which type of person,
Makes sense.
Yeah, and that's where personal management is going to be a big part, bro. Big part, because motivation, like, it's not linear. Some people react to it completely different.
It's just funny that, like, quite transparently, I did a bad job training Brandon. But Chris, literally everything you're saying, I'm like, oh shit, I do that. But I was just doing it like unconsciously.
Mm,
But I'm glad you're actually like saying it. So I can be
yeah.
like, oh, that's what I was doing. And now I can reinforce it in Brandon.
So that's the thing, right? Is everything that I'm telling you guys is probably not new stuff. It's just formulating it into words that can then be reapplied, because we're all good business owners. Oh, sorry, good business people in the business space. Like, there's no denying it. There's a reason why all three of us are on the call in the first place. It's just, how can we regurgitate the thoughts that's in our brain, package it up, and then be able to resend it or reapply it? You know, because it's hard to explain something that you can't work out the words for.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, bro, like all of this that I'm saying, I can't imagine it being like completely brand new to you. I think it might be a bit more brand new when we get into the more technical part, which we can probably maybe do tomorrow, Braden, which will be like the tech side, which I kind of hate, but I'll show you how we get into that.
Yeah. My favorite analogy, I guess this applies to sports too, but I used to play video games a lot. Do you know the game Rocket League?
Rocket League.
Yeah.
Rocket.
It's like car soccer in an arena where you like jump and do flips and shit.
Okay, yeah. I've just Googled it now. I've checked it out. Yeah, go on.
So when I first started playing and I was just like an average 50% player, I look at professional players and it looked so simple. Like what they did, it was like, oh, they just dribble the ball and do its simple flick. Or when you watch pro soccer, it's like, oh, they're just hitting. Like it looks so simple. But then what I realized, because I eventually did get like pretty fucking good, and then other people said the same stuff about me. And then it was like, mastery is just doing the simple shit so well where it's like second nature.
That is such a great point, bro. Such a great point. I'm a big like football fan here in the UK, and I was watching a podcast not too long ago, and there's this player called Harry Kane who just won his first trophy, one of the best strikers in the world, but he doesn't have anything crazy. The only thing is he just does the simple stuff so well, and I think that's such a great analogy, bro.
The fundamentals.
Such a great analogy. Yeah, the fundamentals, because like there's only like, I think there's like, we all know what needs to be done. It's just packaging it up in the form of advice and then accomplishing it, you know?
Yeah.
Like
people overcomplicate shit for the sake of overcomplicating it.
What's the best way to shift into authoritative leadership when the team already knows you as the chill-like-all guy? It's a great question. And the bottom line here is you are only as respected as much as you tolerate. This is a massive one. Okay. And is it going to be incredibly awkward at the start? Yeah, it will be. It flipping will be. It's like when you're dating, sorry, I know I keep using a dating example, but this is the best analogy I can think of. When you're dating a girl, for example, and you've realized that something in the relationship needs to change, and she's just disrespected you in a way or not been up to quality, and all of a sudden you've just not tolerated it anymore. At the start, it's going to be like, hey, Brandon, or hey, Braden, like, why are you doing this? This isn't your normal self, you know, and they can look down upon you. Okay. That's normal. Yeah. That is so normal. Okay. Both in the closer space as well. And the funny thing about this is you are not going to change. You are not going to drop your standards from here on out. You are not going to break down what you tolerate anymore and lower that. So now that leaves them with two options. Number one, they leave, or number two, they now rise their standard. If they leave, good riddance. I hope you guys find another closer. If they up their standards, congratulations, you just added some extra revenue to your monthly income.
It's a win-win.
It's an absolute win-win. It's the same with dating a girl. Either she doesn't want to listen to it and she leaves, congratulations, or she's now upped her standards. The point being is
the trash takes itself out.
Exactly. The point being is automatically you've just now made yourself the decision maker. You've essentially given them an ultimatum, and the strength in not moving from that ultimatum is so powerful. So powerful. So the bottom line to that is you are only as respected as much as you tolerate. Will there be times where your friends maybe think, oh, this is Brandon, let's have some leeway here? You know, like, yeah, that's natural. That's going to be happen. And I'll be lying to you guys if I said that there's still some closers that I've brought on board, even over the last couple of months, that I've just, you know, I have given them some leeway because in those specific, and I know this is contradicting what I'm saying, but there's specific man management skills where sometimes it will be okay. Okay. But the bottom line is the borderline, your fundamental should be, this should not change. Like, that's just the bottom line. That should not change. Okay. I need to hold that up as much as you can. Okay. Only time you should drop that is when you just feel like dropping it would be better for your pockets and for their pockets. Okay. For example, they've had a birthday on a Sunday night and they've gone out and celebrated, and then their numbers on the Monday may not be as good as, you know what I mean? For example, something small like that, but as long as you let them know that Tuesday morning they're ready to go. Okay. But then again, there are also some closers out there who will react better to, hey, Brandon, I know you went out on a Sunday night. Your numbers for Monday are piss poor. Sort that out. There are some other people who might react better to, hey, Brandon, I know you went out on that Sunday night. It's your birthday. I get it. Look, take the evening off and let's get back to it tomorrow, but I'm going to need you back on 100%. It's now you, both of you guys, using your emotional intelligence to work out what this type of person is and what type of reaction they react to best. Okay. Or if you guys really want to be a bit cheeky, is why don't you even just try out different types on the same person and just see which one they react to best from that one. Yeah. All right. So yeah, you are only as respected as much as what you tolerate. What's the mindset and framework for confronting friction without letting it rattle me or damage culture? This is such a good one, bro. This is such a good one. First thing that needs to be done is letting people know at the start, once they've been hired, that, hey, there may be trials and tribulations which I may not like and you may not like. I'm just reminding you that if there are times where we need to I need to pull your pants up in order to ensure that you go home with an extra couple $1,000s in commission, then I will go ahead and do so. And what I want in return is for you to do the exact same thing for me. Because now that holds both of you accountable to it. Okay? Now, the chances of them having to pull your pants up for you is going to be incredibly low because you're going to be on point and on the ball, essentially. There's going to be a high, like I've never, in the teams that I've managed in the past, right? I've never once had a closer have something negative to say because I've been more on the ball. Like my job is trying to catch them out, right? So let's see what I've written down here. Number one is, bro, you really need to be a professional glazer here. Like you really do, in the sense that when they do have a positive, really ensure that it's known in the community as well. Like when I've managed closers in the past and they've had a killer week or a killer month, bro, the way that I would lick their ass in the team meetings at the end of the month would be like, whoa. Like sometimes him shouting at us actually makes up for this. Because imagine me telling you in front of 10 people on top of the offer owner that this guy is a killer. Like that's what people actually live for, which sounds crazy, but bro, I've been there many times before. Like I remember on an offer that I was on recently as well, quite a while ago, I'll say recently, when I came in and broke near enough every record. And bro, I remember there was one specific moment where I was just there in the chat and I was just waiting for everyone to just reply, because like that's, you know, that's who we are as humans. So professional glazing in the good times. Why? Because that will then even out the negative times. Okay. Balance. So that goes alongside the professional glazing. What do people connect with the best on? You do need to remind them as the manager that, like, hey, look, bro, we're in this in the same boat. I really need you to do this. Look, just reminding them that you're on the same team here is just so vital, because at that point it just builds up that extra communication, and you also want to let them know, like, hey, bro, I don't want this information to get back to the owner of the offer, because it's just going to make you look bad. So fix it out ASAP before I essentially have to write you out. Right? You give them those opportunities. You let them know that you are on the same team, and you're going to give them the benefit of the doubt before you essentially have to snitch. Right? 9 times out of 10, they're going to fix that straight away because you've given them the benefit of the doubt there. Like, bro, you always have to remind them that they're on the same side as yourself, which is why those 2 group chats, let's say, for example, if you guys were to restructure your company now, I'd say, Brandon, bro, like, you need to create a group chat with just you and the closers. Braden, you may not like to hear that. In saying that, behind the back end, Brandon, you're still going to be filling everything into Braden anyway.
Right.
Like, that's just how it is.
No,
At
I
least,
really do like that a lot, because when I think about how I ran the team in the past, and then it is helpful to kind of have that with PB. Well, PB is the creator, the offer owner, and kind of not throw rocks at them, but kind of like leverage them for persuading the team.
Yes. Example.
So, and I give you permission to do so and throw.
Bro, exactly. Like, you need to, like, so I'd put this in the chat. Like, I'd say, bro, we have this one offer owner. I'm not gonna say who, because the call's being recorded, but we used to have a nickname for him, right? This guy was paying me a good amount per month. So for me to have a nickname for him was completely diabolical, because it wasn't a nice nickname as well. But the point being is, when the chat would lower, I would simply say his nickname, and I'd be like, he's on my ass and he's watching you guys like a hawk. Sort this out. Straight away, that just built out that connection that you wouldn't have been able to have if everybody's in a group chat together. Okay. Obviously, Brandon, you report back to Braden anyway as to what's going on, because regardless, you want to give them the illusion of, like, look, let's be free, and this is, and you know what, it actually helps with company culture as well. You should see some of the group chats that we've got on in there, like, so stupid, bro, but that's what keep company culture there. And I'm sure if, like, us three were in a group chat, like, but I'm sure eventually after a period of time we'll just be throwing in, like, the most stupidest, craziest, dumbest stuff in there, like, but that's what's going to keep company culture. And sometimes I've had moments where I thought about leaving an offer and then been held back, because I'm like, not gonna lie, I actually love this family, like, so yeah, that separation there is super key.
Yeah, it's like your boys talk shit to your face, but say great things behind your back, and like that's I said that today. Actually, we were on a team call, and Steph, one of our closers, spilled water all over his laptop, and all of us, we were like, Steph, I can't hear you. You're like cutting out. Like your audio is fucked. And like the whole team like built onto it. Like the whole team knew the drill.
Bro, that is it, bro. Like, there's no better feeling than that as well. Like, and at the end of the day, remember, like, this is for a lot of people, for the majority of people, I like to think this is their full-time thing anyway. So you want to make it as enjoyable as possible as well.
It's the reason why we're not in fucking corporate.
Yeah, tell me about it, bro. How do you command authority with high performers who may not instantly buy into leadership? Great question. Last answer. Let's just reverse engineer here for a second. In order to find out who holds the power, is you need to essentially look at who needs to be impressed. Example, when you look at a boyfriend and a girlfriend, and you simply want to work out who has more power in the relationship, you simply work out who spends more percentage of their time trying to impress the other person. If that's the case, then you need to ensure that every single person, or every single closer, I should say, is trying to impress you. Because naturally, that will then build you up to such a high leverage position of power, where now naturally they're going to want to do the best for you. Now, where does this link into this? There are a lot of high performers who naturally won't try to, who naturally may just want to, like, take the gas off the pedal. I've been that guy in every single role where I'd break a record month, not just for myself, but for the whole company. And then I may turn up late to training calls, or I may do, and that, I'm just being transparent with you guys. I'm not going to BS you guys here. I thought I was a dog bollocks, especially when I was younger and making a lot more money than the majority of people. Like, I was that guy, unfortunately, right? And what then happens is you need to start reminding these top ballers here that your income. So for example, Brandon, let's just say you're the top killer here. I need you to know at all times that your income is also somewhat reliant in my hands. Example, I can drop lead flow at any given reason for not turning up to trainings on time or not doing admins. And that should be given as a threat. Straight up. That should be given as a threat. I don't care how well, and it's not, maybe for you guys it's a bit more different because you might just starting off with like 2 closers or 3 closers, so it's kind of hard to indirect people. But like, what I would do is I just used to put into the community with all the closers, like, look, boys, I don't care how well you guys are performing. If you're not doing your admin and your training, I will drop lead flow. That's the bottom line. And the moment now that A players and high performing people know that you're the one that needs to be impressed, you now have more power, and now your words are, as a result of that, a lot more valuable.
How do you make people want to impress you, though?
So this is how it works. This is the formula for this, right? Is in the good times, you guys need to make it sound as if the owner of the company has given you the power. For example, let's say I've got the owner of the offer, let's call him Kiwi, right? Kiwi wants to give out some bonuses at the end of the month. I'm then going to go to the closers and say, guys, I want to give you guys all bonuses at the end of the month. Go work for it. In the negative parts, I'm then going to say, look, Kiwi has just told me that he's going to be firing 2 of you guys at the end of the month. Work for it. So essentially, you're always leveraging him. You're leveraging him in the negative parts, and you're also taking his credit in the positive parts. How to make him impress is because in the positive parts, you're the person that they need to impress and not the owner of the offer now. Okay? Because if it looks like you're the one that's giving out the bonuses and little stuff like that, believe me, you're going to be in a very good position. And I'm actually more opposed to you guys giving out bonuses and little stuff like that. I think at the end of the day, I can sit here and talk about psychology all I like, but at the end of the day, we are all humans, and people will just react the best to bonuses. I know one of my friends, actually, not me myself, but he gave his top owner, his top closer last month or 2 months ago, a $1,000 shopping spree in Louis Vuitton. Just because he kept banging on about how he wanted a new Louis Vuitton t-shirt or something like that on a group call time ago, because he said he wanted to, what was it? He was seeing, some nice, good-looking girl that he was on a call with, and was like, I need to get an LV top before I take her on a date, or something like that. Eventually, he used that to his skill, just to show people that he was listening, and then he gave someone a $1,000 spending spree. Lou. I think you should always reward heavily, just because at the end of the day, it's going to pay you a much better benefit in the long run. Like, little stuff, like, I'm just going to use myself as an example. I booked in an hour for this call, and that was kind of what I was willing to do. But I didn't actually do this on purpose, so don't worry. But I've just gone over an extra 41 minutes for the sake of, and I'm sure somewhere along the lines, whether that's in 5 years or 10 years, it will come back in some form of good karma. In the same way with you guys. In the same way that Braden straight away paid with, within like 5 minutes of me sending over the link, that kind of just, it's little stuff like that, which is connotated with finances, which just boosts people so much more. So I would say, look, Braden, if you do have the opportunity to do so, be big on bonuses. Believe me, it's going to pay you far more dividends in the future than the short cash loss that you take in that moment. Believe me.
I haven't done any like specific cash bonuses, but we hit a solid month in March with one of the companies, and I bought the top closer and top setter a little trophy, and it said like MVP, their name, and then how much they collected.
That's sick.
Like sent in the group chat. It's pretty fire because it boosts their ego. It's an achievement. They get a feature, and then also it only costs like $50. And like, if anything, that's even like more meaningful than the money on it. Because they get a flex in front of the team. They flex on their IG, stuff like that. So,
bro, that's actually, bro. I think I would. You've actually given me an idea myself, bro. That's actually amazing. I think I would rather actually spend like $50 or $100, whatever it is, to send someone a trophy every month, as opposed to, which might actually be more meaningful than giving them like an extra $500 bonus. It's actually crazy, bro. Yeah, you need to be someone that they need to impress. How do we do that? Number one is when it comes to like giving out the bonuses and stuff, you need to take credit for that for sure. And also remind them that, like, hey, lead flow can be dropped at any time, especially with high performance. But my piece of advice, bro, with high performance, like, this is like, I do this almost instinctively now at this point, is give them a call at the end of the month and just say, hey, bro, you've been a high performer either this month or the last month or 2 months in a row. I'm watching you like a hawk now. You cannot drop off. That's like, that one has worked. And also, just one thing that I'd done not too long ago as well, it was maybe like a couple of years ago, is I called every single person one-to-one and said, look, man, I'm going to need you to be the top closer this month. If you can, I'm going to give you a bonus of $500. And everyone thinks that you just had that conversation with them personally. It's just stuff like that.